Chris, we'll start off with you. What do you make of that list?
Well, let's start with the good news. Let's start with what he got right. Unlike Karl Malone, at least he had Jordan on the team.
Thank you.
Right, so let's give him credit for that. But when he released that, was that Instagram, the pictures of Dr. J and all that, him in Dr. J uniform?
Yes. Yes.
That made me wonder.
Because they're going to
be
do
a
commercial
yes. like that. So that made me wonder, with all due respect to Dr. J, if that was maybe part of the marketing plan or something like that. Because I love Dr. J. He's arguably one of the top 3 iconic figures in basketball history, but I don't have him in my top 3. I don't have him in my top 10. He's close, but not in the top 10. I think there are a number of players you could have named. You know, you can Bird is controversial, but you can probably make an argument for Bird. You know, obviously you could throw in Kareem, Wilt, Oscar. You could even throw in Kobe. You know, and people would be like, "Wow, that's a different Bill Russell." You know, Kareem. You could look at those and say that's a different type of, but you could probably argue that. I don't think many people are going to argue Doc was top 3. Now, the question is Bird over Magic. My top 3 is Michael, Magic, and Kareem. Not in that necessarily, actually in that order. Michael, Magic, and Kareem. You could argue Bird over Magic if you want, because when Bird went to that Celtics team, they had won 29 games the year before he got there. Then his rookie year, they win 61. And obviously were a great team. Magic went to a Lakers team that had the league MVP in Kareem and had won almost 50 games the year before. So Magic always had great teams. So, but I still put Magic ahead of Bird.
I'm not surprised by this list, and here's why. You look at the 3 players that he put on his list. He wants to be like those 3 players. He wants to have the grace of Dr. J, which he represented when he was in the ABA. I love the great line by Dr. J that Rudy Martzke, who now writes for USA Today. He said he scared the ball into the basket. And when somebody asked to describe Dr. J, he said, I can't. He's indescribable. So I understand why he wants to be like Dr. J. We know why he wants to be like Michael Jordan. He wants to be that worldwide icon. He's on his way. Then he looks like a guy like Larry Bird, and that toughness, that fierceness, just playing above his body. For my money, Larry Bird's the greatest big man in terms of shooting the ball ever. I'll take that guy and take my chances over anybody else.
Over Dirk?
Over Dirk, absolutely. I'd take Larry Bird over Dirk Nowitzki, because Dirk is a great shooter. Larry Bird was a break-your-heart shooter. And LeBron James has become a break-your-heart shooter in the last 2 games. So that's why I'm not surprised by his list, because those are the 3 players he wants to be like. Those are the 3 players that he wants to aspire to, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
From my standpoint, my top 3 of all time are Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson. The 3 players that I wish were still playing are Dr. J, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson. I'm not surprised by his list, because those are the 3 people that he wants to be like on and off the basketball court, and LeBron James is clearly on his way. That's why I was not surprised by what he said.
Good points.
No, that was interesting.
It was very interesting. You got my attention with that one. When I first saw this, I thought LeBron was reaching for the most politically correct list imaginable, because clearly the greatest player, Michael, has to be number 1. Doc, as you said, iconic. You can't miss, you can't offend anyone by including him, although I am completely with you. Doc, for all of his class and greatness and iconicness, is not in my top 10 all time. Obviously, you know how I feel about Michael Jordan. But Magic Johnson was the 2nd greatest player ever. And even though it required, hold on, can I add a 4th? I don't want Magic being my, I don't want to see him added as a 4th name. Right. He has to be on this list, and he has to be there in place of the great Dr. J. I'm sorry. And then
Did you go with those 3?
Okay.
Bird, Magic,
I
and
lost
Michael?
sleep over, this is the truth, because I knew we were going to do this today. I lay awake last night staring at the ceiling, because it's so close for me between Larry Bird, for all the reasons you detailed, leadership, big game, clutch shooting, just lifting a whole franchise that was a storied franchise back to greatness. And it was great. And if Magic hadn't been in LA, I don't know, would they have won? I don't know how many they would have won. But what a great, that's the all-time greatest rivalry ever. And just on that, I have to say, I'm leaning toward Larry Bird. But Kareem, he's simply the greatest scorer ever. He scored more points than anybody. But in the end, for me, this is no disrespect, Kareem, but he was a complimentary great player, if you will. Not a leader, not a...
Was personality.
Yeah, not his personality. Yeah. So he was the greatest complimentary player ever, even though you can argue he's the greatest center ever. Then we get to Bill Russell at about, what was he, 6'8" or 6'9"?
Right.
Okay, but I went back and forth. Does Bill Russell belong in that list just out of sheer greatness of championships, just on sheer numbers of rings? Does he belong? I went back and forth, and I went Larry Bird. So I would go Michael, Magic, Larry for my big three. But I've never been forced to pick just three.
Right. Yeah, it's
tough.
always tough to compare. Yeah. I hate to compare perimeter players to centers.
Yeah. Or compare eras.
Yeah, I believe when you take the superstars of an era, they would be very good or star players in any era. If you gave Wilt, Bob Cousy, all those guys, Bill Russell, the benefits of year-round training, nutritionists, charter flights, better sneakers, the whole weightlifting, all of that. I believe this, though. I think LeBron is better than two of the people on his list, Doc and Bird. I now put him ahead of, as great as Larry Bird was, I put LeBron ahead of Larry Bird.
I still need to see a little more, but maybe just.
Because Bird had, what, about 10 great years before his back started going out? So LeBron's already played 11.
I think LeBron's the greatest athlete to play in the NBA. I think
only one big man out of all three of the top three lists. Interesting. Interesting.
All right. I like big men.